Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Williams. I'm going to briefly talk about rubrics just a little bit. So, as I noted, that in for the classes, as Professor Meissner and I were trying to collect data for learning outcome assessments, we ran into some issues because everyone is not using the rubrics to grade. And that's very important in Canvas for two reasons. That's very important, number one, for students. The rubrics help for students to understand where their deficits are. If they have a grade of a 75 and all you're doing is giving them a grade of a 75, but there are multiple questions, or for the discussion questions, there's an initial post, a reply post, they don't know what that 75 means. They don't know where the deficit was. So for an example, in a discussion question, if they got a 75, but you're not breaking down the grade based on what they did for their initial post, what they did for their reply post, they're not able to tell where the deficits are. So with that being said, I'm going to give you, so here's an example of a rubric for a discussion question, okay? And as you'll kind of see here, I went to the speed grader, and then you saw view rubric. When you hit on that, you see my rubric, and I have a small description of what I'm looking for their initial post, and I have a small description for what I'm looking for their reply post, and you'll see that. And then there's 10 points for their initial post, and then they have to reply to at least one classmate's posting, and therefore that's 5 points. I'm able to specifically put the grade in there for their initial post, and then one for the reply post. And what you'll find with that is when students are able to then see, okay, I really did well on the initial post, but I didn't do as well, for an example, with replying to my classmates' post, or sometimes they do really well at replying, but not really well at the initial post. The reason why this is important is not only for their grading, but also for learning outcomes. If I am looking to look, we have to determine if students are able to, if they understand the concept, and the concept comes through the initial post. The discussion post is just their ability to reflect, to be critical of what their classmates are saying, to provide feedback, to ask questions, to further the discussion. That is not measuring the actual concept. So that grade, if there's no rubric and you're not using it, that grade doesn't mean anything. Okay, I'm not able to see, well, did they get this grade because they really elaborated on their initial post, or what does the grade mean? So what happens for learning outcome assessments, I'm able to, if I'm looking at that concept period, I'm going to look at the grade only for the initial post, because that is going to show me whether or not students were able to discuss that concept. Okay. And then once again, here is so you see that for the discussion, blah, 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 blah. Okay. All right. For this assignment, once again, I am in module 3. And when you go to the speed grader, you're going to see something that says view rubric. What many of you guys are doing is you're putting the grade right here. When you hit view rubric, you have to then put the grade in the different areas. So here they're being asked to reflect on why they want to be a counselor. They're being asked to cite definitions. And here they're being asked about the case of Ruby. And this is where the concept is, where I am able to determine, do they understand the ethics of our field? So once again, you put your points in, but right here, if I'm looking, if the outcome is asking, do students understand the ethics of the field, I'm going to go to this part of the rubric to get the grade only for this part. I'm not going to look at the entire grade. So this is why it is really, really important to use rubrics, not only for learning outcome assessments, but it's also important so students can know where their deficits are, especially when you have assignments where there are multiple questions, or even assignments where, like this one, they have 3 different things to do in this one assignment. Every online shell has rubrics that are already built in. So you don't have to do anything. Well, most of them do. If you don't, then I will work with you to create those rubrics. But most of the online shells already have rubrics in them. So you're just basically having to hit rubric, and then put the grade in there. So I hope this is helpful, but this is very, very important. All right, thank you. Have a good semester.